whole lot of loving is what we'll be bringing. We'll make you happy.
Hello and welcome to episode 21, part 2 of Schools with Heart. On today's episode, I'm going to sidetrack a little and tell you a couple stories of how a focus on emotional intelligence can dramatically enhance your own personal level of emotional intelligence. If you're serious about living with integrity, the SEL lessons that you're teaching your students. Remember, the simplified definition of emotional intelligence is that I teach my students is that it's being smart about my feelings and the feelings of others. Yes, I could teach a more comprehensive definition, but years of researching emotional intelligence in depth, from that I've learned that it basically gets down to how well we understand and handle the situations that challenge our emotions and how well we understand how others see the world and feel based on their own experience. The ability, that is, how well we empathize with others. Mixed in is self-motivation, self-confidence, self-control, resilience, and perseverance, all of which I address with my students in various ways, which I'll talk about in days to come. But for the sake of today's stories, I'm focusing on how my commitment to living the lessons of emotional intelligence was seriously challenged this summer, and how, as a result of my commitment, I'm able to say with confidence that my emotional intelligence expanded to unprecedented levels. Of course, I'll have to leave out the details of my stories because they went on and on all summer long and would consume hours of video time. Just the basics of two ongoing unresolved issues that without emotional intelligence would have come close to ruining many days of my summer vacation. Both stories involve money. The first was an insurance claim in which my bank refused to refund $10,000 back into my account. Day after day I went to the bank trying to resolve the issue. Each time before I went in, I promised myself that I would control my frustration. I anticipated another failure to resolve the problem. I told myself day after day, I choose happiness, no matter what happens. I was committed to responding with emotional intelligence as never before in my life. And day after day, I walked out of that bank with a smile as I greeted Scott, the doorman. And then one day, after it continued for weeks, I had reached my limit and I knew it. I was smart about my feelings. On that day, I wasn't smiling. But I wasn't ranting either. I was in control of my emotions, and I politely demanded to talk to the branch manager. In retrospect, something I should have done long before. Without disparaging any of the agents with whom I'd been meeting, I calmly explained my problem, and that very afternoon the issue was resolved. I went to my online banking on my computer, and there it was, $10,000 back in my checking account. I immediately called the manager, thanked him profusely, and congratulated myself for handling it so wisely. The other story, which began in early June, 3 months ago, is yet to be resolved. It involves the whiteboard for my studio. My first mistake was trying to buy one from Office Depot, but because it cost $700, the impetus for a discount led me there. I waited weeks for it to come, and when it never did, I went back to the store and the manager helped me cancel the order. That night, I found another whiteboard online, ordered it for the same amount of money, and it arrived in 2 days. All I needed at that point was to have Office Depot refund my money, but the day after I set up the whiteboard you see in the back of me, the Office Depot whiteboard was delivered to my door. They sent it even though I had canceled the order. Of course, I told the driver to put it right back in the truck, and I called Office Depot. To make a very long and drawn-out story short, I have since talked on the phone to many people at Office Depot, all of whom speak with an accent, and you know how frustrating that alone can be. As of today, the manager of the Office Depot in my town is trying to help me recover my money, but he too is amazed by their inefficiency. Throughout the entire exasperating experience, I've maintained my composure. I've lived the lessons of emotional intelligence that I teach my students. I'm not telling my students to do one thing while I do the other. In other words, I'm living with integrity. And I'm a better person for it. I'm happier for it. I'm a better teacher for it. It's all a better me, a better life, a better world. This summer I was tested. Tests are never easy, but they're a gauge of how far we've progressed. My tests were and continue to be a challenge to my degree of emotional intelligence. As you learn more in the upcoming videos of how I teach my students emotional intelligence, I hope that my stories today will inspire you to live the SEL lessons that you're teaching your students. Get excited about the prospect of becoming a better and better person right along with your students. Let them know how committed you are to your own personal growth, to holding the bar high for yourself, to being the absolute best you can possibly be. Model the lessons before their discerning eyes as you keep laser focused on loving each one beyond a galaxy of stars. Now don't forget to hit that like button. It's literally an emotionally intelligent habit. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.